Hey guys, so Doge continues its assault on the IRS. Over 110 offices are going to be closed. Now, look, I get the consolidation, but many of them house the Taxpayer Assistance Centers, which is where many taxpayers go to file, pay, deal with the IRS. With that many service centers now gone, are taxpayers really just screwed? It's going to be really interesting. All right. So, just to get into this, if you've never been to a taxpayer service center, good for you. Because, especially this time of year, they're not that pleasant to go to, right? They're very busy, but it's a place where taxpayers can walk in, talk to a human being at the IRS. They can make payments, they can get receipts, they can get transcripts. Look, as a tax professional, I have tax help software. We pull transcripts every day. I have phone numbers of the territory managers. We get things done. But there are a lot of taxpayers who have small issues who don't want to go hire a tax lawyer or a CPA or a firm to just deal with what should be fairly routine. No, don't get me wrong. I think we can all agree the online experience can be improved. A lot of this could be done through the website. People have to get with the program. But remember something, almost 5% of households in America don't have a computer. So no matter how much we, Doge, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, whoever wants everyone to just go online and easy peasy, it's not going to be. All right. And by the way, if you do deal with the IRS online, it's not easy peasy, or at least much of it is not easy peasy. So we're now talking about this is going to make it extremely difficult for taxpayers who want to try to deal with the IRS on their own to do so. So again, 110 facilities are going to be closed. Now, overall, is this a good thing? Well, yeah. I mean, we're paying rent and the utilities for the American taxpayer. Can we not consolidate the IRS, into a few facilities, save the overhead? Don't get me wrong. I run multiple businesses. I get it. All right. And I pay a lot in taxes. I get it. However, I think the IRS has to, and maybe they will come up with where they can join with other organizations to make, a facility available in areas for people to go to, because this is going to be problematic, and it's going to be really problematic for the lower income folks, I'd say middle income lower, who have just that issue and would rather just go to a walk-in center. They may not have access to a computer. They may not be able to sort out their issue online. It's not that clear cut often. The notices now I know have QR codes. If you have a smartphone, great. And again, I mean, most of us do. If you're watching this, you're almost certainly watching it on a smartphone. There are many Americans that don't. Okay. So this is going to make it really difficult for taxpayers who want to physically go meet somebody at the IRS and get their problems sorted out. Now, you could always pick up the phone, except we just laid off 2,000 employees from ACS, the Automated Collection Service. Those are the people that you call and they pick up the phone. So we are really, in many ways, going to be forcing people to utilize technology or utilize a tax professional. So this is one of those instances where, like, half my brain is going, oh, that's too bad. And the other half, I got the conga music playing, you're right. And there's, for some reason, a bunch of dogs and cats all doing a conga line, right? The cash register cha-ching, cha-ching noises. But we get calls all the time. They're saying I owe $400. They're saying I owe $800. You're not hiring a law firm to do that. You'll spend way more on us than assuming we can even solve the problem. So, there are a lot of, and that's most Americans. Most Americans don't need to hire a firm. They just need to talk to somebody. And as much as I understand where I think President Trump is going, and I applaud the vision, I'm not really, I'm going to be honest, in favor of the chainsaw approach to this. I think this could have been done over 3 or 4 years, normal attrition. I think 50% of the IRS is going to be retiring in the next 6 years. We could have accomplished a lot of this by just, limiting the budget through Congress and letting things run their course and try to put the pieces in place. They're clearly not waiting for that. And again, as I put in some of my other videos, you can go check those out. I think what we're going to be looking at is a couple years of just chaos, of taxpayers having a real problem. I know that, I've been listening, some of the Congress folks are already getting phone calls from people who are having issues. Tomorrow, 11 executives in our small business self-employed division, which all small businesses, and self-employed people, who I mostly represent, we deal with, 11 executives all took the package. They're all walking out the door. There is a huge gap now at the top. They've let go all the new revenue officers and appeals officers. So we're already being told our appeals cases now are going back into inventory. So we'd waited 3, 4, 5 months to finally get to an appeals officer. We were starting to work on the case. 2 of my cases, they said, sorry, I'm done. It's going back to inventory. You'll hear from someone, I don't know, given that there are only half the appeals officers left, maybe a year. So as much as we're all applauding the tax savings and no one really loves the IRS anyway, there is going to be a price to be paid for. If you're someone that has an issue, you're going to be waiting a long time to get to a human being. Like during COVID, it took 2 years to even hear from an appeals officer. They were so backed up. Remember, we had 12 million pieces of unopened mail. Again, I'm all for the government, going and licensing SmartVault, but they're not going to anytime soon. The point is, I think we will get there. I think overall, 5 years out from now, this is probably going to be a good thing. It's just going to be really painful, and I feel kind of like we're doing this in the most painful way possible. Now, by the way, what else goes on at a walk-in center? Well, I mentioned you can go in and pay. Well, if you're going to file, if you're going to make a payment and then file for a refund, maybe we're challenging a preparer penalty, or frankly any penalty, or we're going to challenge a bad assessment. Client, if you're a tax pro, you've certainly seen this. You get a CP 2000, right? It's the notice, they're proposing changes, they think you missed something, but you can send in the documents within 30 days. You send in the documents. Nobody looks at it, right? They're so backed up. Notice of deficiency comes out. That is the 90-day letter you have to file in tax court. The person doesn't file in tax court. So now those changes are final. The way you challenge them is you pay and then file for a refund. You have to wait 6 months or until it's denied, and then you can file in federal district court or the federal court of claims. Well, the way that we do this, because again, I have to make the payment and then make the refund request, and the timing on this by statute is really critical. So the way that we do this is I'll have the payment from the client. We make a photocopy. I have my refund claim and a photocopy. One of our staff will go to the IRS walk-in center. It's at 150 Court Street in New Haven. That's the one we go to. She'll go in, give them the payment and the copy, and ask to have it time and date stamped. They'll confirm it's the same. They'll time and date stamp the copy and give it back to you. Now we made our payment. We can prove time and date. She then files the refund claim and gives them the copy. They'll confirm it's the same, time, date, and stamp the copy, hand that back to you. We just got the 6-month clock going. There's no doubt we have our proof. To do that through the mail is a nightmare. Now, can we do it online through direct pay? I think maybe. If you're doing like a trust fund assessment, you have to pay for 1 employee for each quarter. So could I have the client go in, make a payment on each quarter, get the printout? I think so. I've never done it, but I think so. So, these walk-in centers have sort of been really important for us that do a lot of this work. And honestly, I don't do much of it, but I have from time to time, again, not often, set up an appointment and just walked over because I had to it was one of these things that if I could just sit with somebody, I could get it sorted out. And again, I don't do that. I don't tend to do that often. We tend to have bigger dollar cases in my firm, so I'm dealing often with a revenue officer or an appeals officer, I have a human being to deal with. But for the 15 million people that are dealing with the automated system, they can't just easily get to someone unless they go to a walk-in center or they call on the phone. And both of those right now are going to be really limited. So that's my big concern about that. But in terms of what I think we're going to see, already we're getting hints from the IRS that they are going to try to make it easier for people to just deal with their issue. So for instance, there's something called the streamlined installment agreement. I'm going to go into more into this in another video. I think it deserves its own video. But they announced a new simplified installment agreement. It's not really new. What it is, so right now, prior to this, dealing with the IRS, if you're in automated collections, you can call the government right over the phone. If you owe less than $250,000 and can full pay within the time remaining on the 10-year collection statute, yes, the IRS has 10 years to collect the debt, you can just set it up right over the phone. And by the way, if you're going to do that, ask about first-time abatement. Why not? Just say, hey, we're setting up the agreement because you have to deal with the problem first before you can request abatement. Great, that's wonderful. By the way, do I qualify for first-time penalty abatement, or does my client qualify for first-time penalty abatement? They'll check right there on the phone. I knocked $38,000 off about a year and a half ago for a client just because I asked. They owed $190,000 when I called. They owed $162,000 when I hung up. Right? That was worth it. So, you could call and just set it up over the phone. If, however, you were assigned to a revenue officer in the field, that was limited to $50,000 owed or less over 72 months or the time of the statute, whichever was less. So why so restrictive with the field? The IRS's opinion was the folks that are assigned to the field are the worst offenders. They have the biggest balances. They probably have defaulted before. It might be payroll tax, which they're very touchy about. And so it was really restrictive. Well, they announced this new simplified installment agreement. It's the same thing, except they removed the 72 months. So now, as of today, okay, which is March 5th, when I'm recording this, as of today, you can, if you're dealing with a revenue officer, just call the revenue officer, set up an agreement, right over the phone. You don't have to submit financial information. They don't need supervisory approval. It's automatic. All right. If you owe $50,000 or less and can full pay within the time remaining on the statute, they will go ahead and just set that up for you. I have been urging them to increase the $50,000 to the same $250,000 that we have with ACS. And again, and here's the rationale. There was a study done years ago by the Taxpayer Advocate. It was Nina Olson then, who was the Taxpayer Advocate. And she pointed out that if the IRS, when the IRS got an offer in compromise, the average that was offered, I want to say something like 14 or 15 cents on the dollar. I don't remember the exact number. Of those that were rejected, they studied to see how much was ultimately collected, and it was 7 cents. Meaning, even the bad offers were still better than not taking the offer at all. Offers, though, I understand the IRS perspective is, if you're just going to take whatever people are just throwing out, what's the point of the program? So that I kind of get. But when it comes to installment agreements, I have been arguing, just get them into an agreement that they can afford. I'd rather collect something than nothing, or letting them sit in inventory until someone can work the case. Now, I think Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk and Doge have just thrown everything on its ear. So, whereas before, these big cases would go out to the field and they'd sit in inventory waiting for a revenue officer to be able to work it. I think more of that's now going to be done through automation. So on the one hand, it's good. We're going to get to those cases faster. On the flip side, it's going to be a bit of an issue. And so what I've been urging them to do is, if you'd increase it to $250, you could get rid of all those cases. Just contact them. hey, you owe less than 250. Here's the time left on the statute. Can you afford X? If they say yes, close it, get the agreement in place, done. Even if they default a year, 2 years, 3 years down, we still collected what we could, and we could always revisit it. Again, with the automation. So I feel that in many ways there's been this sort of I don't want to say plan, that would making them sound too evil. That there was an incentive, better word, for the folks in the field to not really work the inventory very hard, right? I mean, they're going home at 5 o'clock or whenever their shift ends, and the case will be there tomorrow. Whereas the automation, we can work all those cases simultaneously, done. Now, some of them you can't really work through automation yet. Payroll taxes, trust fund assessments against responsible individuals, it's too complicated right now for a computer to do yet. The AI is going to improve, programming will improve. Eventually, we will get there. Like I said, I think 5-10 years from now, this is all going to be great. It's going to be the pain of getting there and the people that are going to suffer trying to work out an issue who can't hire us and have to try to deal with it on their own. So anyway, are taxpayers screwed? Yeah, a little bit. I think if you are middle income or lower, and you have to deal with the IRS, it's going to be really problematic for the foreseeable future, given the moves that the government has made. Overall, long term, do I think it'll be better? Yes. But I think the growing pains to get there are going to be rough. All right. So guys, listen, I hope you're finding all of this stuff helpful. Feel free to go down there and put your comments. I am always interested to see what people are thinking themselves. And if you like what we're doing here, if you could, like, subscribe, share the videos with your friends. Let's keep spreading the word. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the channel. And thanks for the ideas, because I keep getting comments, which is, what's driving a lot of these videos, the follow-up videos. So thanks for being here. Thanks for commenting and liking and subscribing. The channel keeps growing, which is awesome. And see you in the next video. All right. Eric Green from Tax Prep Network. Have a good day. Bye-bye.